Hi, my name is Mark Burgess and I'm a Technical Marketing Manager for Civil Infrastructure Products. Today I'm going to be talking about road design in InfraWorks 360. So we're going to start off talking about the sketch tools for creating planning roads before moving on to talking about the design roads that are available in the Roadway Design for InfraWorks 360 application. Using sketch tools, you can add roads, rail lines, buildings, bodies of water, landscape regions, coverage areas, and city furniture to your model. Before you start designing roads and worrying about design parameters, you can use sketches to propose a few different conceptual designs and get a good idea of how the designs are going to look. You can set out each conceptual design in its own proposal. You can then analyse the sketches to make an educated decision about which conceptual design is the best alternative. The process of sketching allows quick access to presentation-ready visualisations of the conceptual design. However, since it's conceptual, it's highly likely that changes are going to be required. For example, instead of having a four-way intersection where two roads cross, you might decide to create an overpass. So we can see here that I've quickly sketched a road, and that by connecting up two sketch roads together it gives us a basic intersection. I can pick up and use the basic grips on these sketch roads to edit the position of the roads, and here I've passed it through to create a basic crossroads. Railways can be sketched just in the same way that roads can be sketched. Here I'm drawing a railway which crosses the sketch road, and where the two meet you get a level crossing automatically generated. You can also see that there are lampposts all the way along the side of the road, which is not typical of a rural road, so we're going to want to change what the road looks like. So we do this by using the style palette. So if we go to the road section of the style palette, we've got various preset version of road styles to choose from. If you double click on one of the styles, then it brings up the style editor, which will allow you to customize and configure the styles and create your new ones if what you want isn't available on the list. To apply it to the road, the one that I want, I simply just click on it, drag it and drop it onto the road. The grips on a planning road are fairly standard, and they allow for basic horizontal geometry manipulation of the road, but not to any design standard constraints. If you were to zoom in, then as well as the square cubic grips, you can see some triangular grips, cone-shaped grips on top of them, which allow for the vertical profile to be edited also. Here I've just pulled it up, and now once the road becomes grade separated from both the road and the railway line, basic bridges get created. So if we just want to section off the bridge section over the top of the road, then we can just right click and split the feature. This will allow us to edit just a small part of the road. So for this, I can just take a bridge style and apply it to get a basic conceptual bridge design. Once you're happy with the conceptual design and you want to start taking into account design constraints, instead of having to redesign the planning roads as design roads, you can just right click on the planning road and select the convert to design road, and it will be done automatically for you. So with the design road, I have different types of grips. So here, this grip is for the vertical profile, and if I go to a slightly more top-down view, the grips change. So now I can adjust the horizontal geometry. Here I'm adjusting the length of the curve, and I can input a curve radius directly into the drawing, into the box, adjusting the curve again, adjusting the position, and you can see I have a lot more control than I did than with the sketch roads. I already have a bunch of roads in my model already. These could have either been automatically generated from Model Builder or brought in from an external data source. Now, to get intelligent intersections, what I need to do, I need to right click and convert them. And you can see the intersections are updating, and these are becoming a little more realistic in their design. So I can also draw in directly my design road. So here I'm just picking a local road. That gives a slightly lower design speed. On there we've got collector roads, arterial roads and highway roads. But you can see that as I'm drawing, the curves are specified in there, and I'm also able to do standard design road grip editing just to do a bit of customization. And as I move the road, it will also update any intersections. So the road style, once again, isn't suitable, so I can go to my asset card and change from geometry editing to style editing. And in here, I can go to the style, and from the list, which is slightly more extensive, I can pick a suitable style for my road. Now, if I go to model properties, then we can see that I can have different design standards available. So we've got, as well as the AASHTO standards, I've got the UK DMRB metric standards, and I can choose to drive on the left or right hand side of the road. So if I do that, the whole model will have to update. You can't just apply it to a specific road, it has to be applied to the entire model. And if we go in and zoom back to the area which I was just editing, we can see now that the road lane markings have been modified to show that we're driving on the left hand side of the road. The intersections of a design road can be edited easily. In the asset card, if you expand the design vehicle section, you can see the different design vehicles. And by selecting them, you can see, as you select larger vehicles, the intersection updates to be able to accommodate them. You also can switch the editing mode to lane markings, and in here you can choose how the lane markings appear within the intersection. Under junction type, it's also possible to now convert the intersection to a roundabout. The roundabouts are taken from the FHWA 2000 and 2010 standards, and as with the intersections, you can switch to a slightly different design standard. So here, going from single to a double lane roundabout, and we also have some mini roundabouts in here as well. So you can pick a different design to see if your conceptual design for that intersection works. So in this case, we'll stick it back to a rural single lane roundabout, which is more suitable for this road type. So we go down into a slightly more built up area where I converted the planning roads into design roads earlier. I can just take those intersections, and we can see that the intersections can be edited. So you can add lanes with tapers, you can adjust the curve radius, you can adjust the taper, you can adjust offsets, and you've got a lot of control in the design there. Because it's a slightly more built up area, we're going to see what a roundabout might look like. A single lane roundabout here is a little bit too large, so we just switch that to a more typical mini roundabout you might find in this situation. So there, and you can see how much of an effect a mini roundabout with its increased capacity would have, the effect it would have on the local houses. And you can see it would encroach on the land a little bit, but not too much. With the roundabouts, also you can adjust the point at which they connect up to the road and the roundabout standard starts from. We can see here with the road I created earlier that the automatic grading has taken it into the top of the hillside. So we're going to need to edit the profile to get that to fit with the existing surface a little bit better. So rather than do that with the grips directly on the road, we can open up the profile view and we can right click on here to add a couple of PVI points which will help snap the road a little bit better to the existing surface. I can then take these PVIs and edit them, change the position just like you would in Civil 3D, and to create a better profile. At the bottom you've got a slider that will also allow you to zoom into a particular area of the road profile, and you can see the road there in comparison as a black line in comparison to the green line of the existing surface. Now you can do things by hand, but that might take a long time, especially on a long section of road. So we also have the profile optimization. That's a cloud surface that's available for a number of for 100 cloud credits. So we simply click on the profile optimization and we can roll through the settings. We can choose the PVI number of PVI points. We can choose the quantities options to specify borrow and waste pit locations. We can do construction rules, and we also have a preset values for construction and earthwork costs. These can be customized to whatever is required. You can then hit the optimize button and it would send up your design for the road that was currently selected into the cloud, and it generally takes about 30 minutes for this to get done. You can then check in the job monitor. You'll actually get an email come into your inbox with the final report that's done, but when it's done you can check with the job monitor in InfraWorks 360 and you'll be able to open up the report in there, which will show you the new profile. It will show you the road assembly options, earthwork and mass haul diagrams, and it will give you all the cross sections also. Also, in the job monitor you'll be able to click on the result and it will ask you if you want to display the new profile in your design. It will actually create a new proposal for you. So if we just take a slightly closer look at this, we can see that that road fits a lot better to the existing ground surface there, and we can check the profile view. It's a pretty good fit. Okay, so at an intersection you might want to carry out some site distance analysis. So here we select the intersection and go to site distance, and we can then select the type of traffic control. So we'll do stop control to start off with, and click the analyze button, and because we're driving on the left hand side of the road doing a left turn and the traffic approaching on the near side, the visibility looks good, and the visibility site distance is a little bit further away, and we can turn on the envelope there if we're doing a right turn also onto the far side of the road. Now that's kind of expected because there are no obstacles in the way blocking the view of the approaching driver to the intersection. So what I'm going to do here is just take some trees and place them by the side of the road. So I'm going to take this one tree, move the slider up to put a whole bunch of trees in there. Now if we carry out the same site analysis, this time on yield control, so it's a little bit further back. If we're doing a right hand turn, the left approach site is obstructed because we can't see the traffic approaching from the left hand side. But if we're doing a left hand turn, then it's still okay. If we're out on the open road, then we'll want to do passing sight distance for overtaking manoeuvres. So if we hit the Analyze button here, out on the open road, we can see a couple of different areas highlighted here. So we have a sight failure, and on the left hand side we have an accident zone. So they're clearly defined in there, and you can therefore take steps to eliminate those hazards in that area. So one such way might be to provide an additional lane. So we select the road and we change the edit mode to lanes forward, and what we can do, we can select an area to zone on that existing road. So I've selected the area to zone, and then I choose to add a second lane, and it's automatically created. That zone we can then take and we can adjust the position and the length of that, and the start station and end station are specified there in the asset card. Okay, so now we want to look at some roadside grading, because over here we seem to have a bit of a problem where the grading isn't quite matching the existing terrain. So if we just select our road and we go into edit mode, then in the asset card we can switch to roadside grading. Now there are two ways of doing this roadside grading. So what's currently set up here at the moment is that it's a fixed slope grading. So the slope here is specified for the cut, it's a grading of 2:1, and on the fill it's 10:1. And we've got a limit of 30 meters here, but in 30 meters it's fine for the 2:1 cut slope. However, the fill at 10:1 isn't quite enough to align with the existing terrain. So for example, if I were to switch the grading limit to 10 meters, that would just make the situation worse. So we can see it's become even more exaggerated. So what we can do, we can go to the fill slope. If I drop that to 2:1 to match the cut slope, then that kind of looks okay, but still isn't great. So then I can adjust my grading limit up to 15, which should extend just far enough to have a nice alignment with the existing terrain. The other way of doing it is to do a fixed width. Here the grading limit is 15 meters, but so as before it aligns fairly well with the terrain, because in this case it doesn't matter what grading limit I choose, the slope is automatically calculated to align to that terrain over the fixed width. So over 30 meters here, it will pick a width to perfectly align over the entire 30 meters. Once you've finished your preliminary design and then you're happy with it, you're going to want to export this to Civil 3D to finish off the detailed design. So we can do that through the Civil 3D Drawings button, where you can specify if you want to create your sheets, how exactly you want to set it up and bring it into Civil 3D. Here I'm just changing the offset distance from 50 meters to 100 meters for the actual area that I want to bring in, and just setting a coordinate system and where to save the file. It's as simple as that, just 3 easy steps, and you just click on the button. It will automatically open Civil 3D for you, and when it opens up you can see that the alignment of that new road that I've designed has been brought in automatically for you to start working and building out your corridor. We can see if I just select the road alignment, I can just generate a profile from it, and you'll see that the optimized profile has been associated with the alignment also. Thank you for watching this presentation on roadway design in InfraWorks 360 with me, Mark Burgess. I hope you found it useful.